What is missing in your organisation that stops effective leaders being able to develop and grow?
How can you invest more wisely in developing the resources to make okay managers into great managers? There's a secret sauce to this, which we'll talk about later.
These are just two of the questions we'll be examining in this film as we get under the skin of HR.
With a survey showing 74% of HR professionals want to work on management and leadership development, you might ask yourself, what impact would more training and development create?
And that's the nub of it, Yvette. We all know that, to quote Marcus Buckingham, people don't leave organisations, they leave bad managers. So there is an easy to achieve win that you gain by conducting management and leadership training. You reduce churn in your staff.
And that's a massive win because less hiring costs save your company money. Now, you might ask at this point, how do I even make sure I'm finding and investing in the best talent in my company?
But whoa, before we get ahead of ourselves here, we can unpick some of the reasons why managers who don't work make people leave.
That's a great idea, but let's look at some of the figures first.
So a Gallup survey showed that managers account for 70% of the variance in employee engagement.
Yeah, and that for me means one person can have a huge impact. In fact, I have a story about that. My best and worst is the same organisation and same team. My best manager was just a very genuine and authentic person, and therefore made you feel that you could be the same. She took time to get to know me as a person rather than just Yvette as a professional, and was really in my corner. Within 6 months, she got my pay to where it needed to be and bumped up my bonus in relation to the massive amount of project work I was doing. The one person who always sticks in my mind when people talk about good managers. When she was managed out of the business, it ended up triggering my journey to leave the business as I was so unhappy with how they treated her.
I love that you had such a loyalty for that leader. And it highlights an interesting point. It sounds like you were developed from a foundation, a position of reference, and that can only be achieved via a formal and informal process of assessment.
In order to bring on your team and create leadership and management training, not good but great training that accommodates the different starting points and skills your teams have, it's absolutely essential to complete thorough assessments of your leaders.
So right. In fact, you can save a lot of time and therefore money by completing this process. And at this point, I'm going to loop back to the idea of how finding your leaders is better than making them. And this is a doozy. Completing an assessment on developing managers helps you define what their skill sets are centered around and where they can go on to improve.
An assessment offers a formal method of understanding, recording, and actually showing you are investing in an individual. But I'll pull us back to the point we made about the influence of managers, because no matter how much you are investing in a manager, if their manager is poor quality, we know from research from the Harvard Review that 50% of employees quote bad managers as the reason they leave.
I had an instance in one employment where I was at a media organisation. My manager was the worst. She allowed a peer of mine to not talk to me for 6 months, then turned around and said, "Why are you guys not talking? Go and get a coffee and sort it out." They would say to me cliches like, "Don't bring me a problem, bring me a solution." Got annoyed with me when I resigned, demanded to know who headhunted me, and then got frustrated that they wanted to know why they'd reached out to me and not her.
That is a good example. Did you move on to a better role?
I did. I moved to Talk, who I went to, and they were fantastic. My manager sat me down and said things are not going the way they should be after 6 months. While it was really uncomfy, he was authentic, guided me and gave me time and trust. Don't care where you work as long as you get the job done, but trusted that you'd done the research and allowed you to be yourself and become a really high-performing team member.
That links back to what we discussed and demonstrates they had assessed your needs and helped you develop as a leader. So knowing what foundation you are building on is essential. This is part of the background to what we are doing at King's College London.
The best organisations will search and find, then nurture good leaders and make them great. If you want to know how to grow and keep good leaders, then you'll need to watch the LTT Triangle film to understand talent management strategy.